Yud Zayin Amud Beis. We'll begin Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom. Continuing on with what he said, the Rabbanan, when they departed from each other, when they departed from the house of Rav Chisda, V'amli Beit Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amlei Hachi, they said the following: Alofeinu Misubolim, our leaders are laden. Alofeinu Misubolim, Rav Shmuel, V'amela Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Lazar, Charamar, Alofeinu B'Torah, our leaders with Torah, Umisubolim B'mitzvahs, they're laden with mitzvahs, they're full with mitzvahs. V'chad Amar Alofeinu B'Torah mitzvahs, there are leaders in Torah mitzvahs, Umisubolim B'Yisurin, and they're laden with Yisurin, with suffering. Ein Perez, and there's no breach. Shaloi Teisi Azena Kasiyasa Shal Dovid, our Chabura, our group, should not be like the group of Dovid HaMelech Sheyatzu min Achitophel. That Achitophel was the great Yayitz and Talmid Chacham, and Yatzu min Achitophel, that did the things that he did, and which was apparent, was a breach, which was a pirza, and that should not be where our Chabura should not have that kind of pirza. And it should not be like the Chabur of Shaul. That Doig HaDaimi, that he was malshin and he caused the death of Noiv Ira Kahanim, that terrible event, that should not come from us. There should not be an outcry, crying. It should not be like the Chabur of Elisha. That Gehazi, who was a Talmud Shein Hagim, came out, and because he was Nana, and when he shouldn't have had a Nah, and he shouldn't have taken from what he took, he became a Metzayra, and as Taisus points out, and by Metzayra, it says, Tomei Yikra, and that's a crying, that's the Tzvacha, the outcrying. So it shouldn't be, it should not be like Gehazi, Elisha, the Yatzim in Gehazi, who was a Metzayra. And there was the outcry of Tomei Brachot V'Seinu Shelo Yalanu Ben Oy Talmid Shemaktik Tavshila Barabim in the streets in public. There should not be a ben, a child, or a Talmid that is deranged, is Makdiach Tavshila Barabim. Literally means he burns his Tavshil in public, he does something disgraceful in public. Shimur Laya Bir Leiv Harachayki Mitzadaka Rav Shmuel V'amel Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Lazar Chad Amar Kol Ha'olam Nizayim B'Tzadaka. The whole world is sustained with tzedakah. V'heim, and these tzaddikim, these great ones, these Bir Leiv Nizayim B'Zraya, with their own schuyas. They're Nizayim with their own schuyas. V'chad Amar Kol Ha'olam Nizayim B'Zchusam. The whole world is sustained with these great people, their schuyas. And they are sustained, don't even sustain themselves with their own schus. The Omar Rav Yehuda Marav, Bechol Yom Baskol Yotzis Mehar Chayev, a Baskol calls from Har Sina Vaymeres, and it says, Kol Halam Kula Nizayim B'Shil Chanina B'ni. The whole world is sustained for Chanina, my son Chanina. The whole world is sustained in his schus. Chanina ben Daisa, v'Chanina beni Daila b'kav charuvin me'erev Shabbos l'erev Shabbos. And Chanina beni, for him, he hardly eats anything. He has a measure of charuvim from erev Shabbos to erev Shabbos. That's all he partakes in. He hardly takes anything from Olam Hazeh, and the whole world is sustained in his chus. It says v'chol yom baskol yotzim mahar chayrev. The baskol comes from Har Chayrev, from Har Sinai. In a different context, the Maharal asks, there's this baskol, so where is this baskol? How come we don't hear this baskol? If it goes every day, the baskol Mahar Chayrev, then how come we don't hear it? The baskol is there. The voice, the sound is there. We have to train ourselves to be able to hear it. The baskol is there. If we were attuned to it, we would hear it. He says in a different context, he learns this pasuk in totally different context than we mentioned before, which is the great ones, the tzaddikim, that the world is sustained in their merit. he learns it Geboy Tuvshai. He learns it as referring to opposite. Geboy is a certain tribe in Bavel who were fools. They were considered fools. Omar of Yosef Teda, the Haloy Garg, Yuraminaya, that Ger never came from them. So they saw the glory of the Torah, they didn't accept it. They weren't Megayer. Amar Vashi, Bnei Mas Machalsi, refers to the Machas Machalsia, are Leibnina. They're considered Birei Leib. Why? The Kachalzi Yikra Daraisa. They see the cover, the greatness of the Torah. They see the greatness of the Torah, Trei Zimna B'Shata, 2 times during the year. And even though they see on the twice of the year when people come to hear the droshes on Adar, the droshes of Pesach, and Elul to the Chag, and they don't see that all glory of the Torah, and they're not Megayer, so they're Balei Gaiva, and it's a completely different reference. It's referring to them that they're so caught up in themselves, and they're such Balei Gaiva that even though they see the glory of the Torah, they're not Megayer. See right in the Gemara, so the Mishnah said that the Chosen is potter from Kriyishma, Laila Rishayna, he's Torah, but here to the Mitzvah, so he's potter from Kriyishma. Chosen, Likra is, but if he wants to read, say the Kriyishma, then he said that he could, but Rav Shimon Gamliel says no. Not everyone that wants to be Mekabel Malchus Shemayim can. It's considered Gaiva, the person to think, in those days, that he is capable of having the proper Kavanah, when he's Torah and Tir the Mitzvah in those days, when they really had proper kavanah, to think that he can have the proper kavanah when he's Torah, that's considered gaiva, and only a person who's known to be a Baal Madrega can do, but not the average person. So, reflecting more with the Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Chaysh Liyahura V'Rabbanul Lay Chaysh Liyahura, you mean to say that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel's Chaysh Liyahura, it appears as gaiva, as being haughty, and therefore he says an average person cannot recite the Krishma, he's Chaysh Liyahura, but the Rabbanan say who can recite Krishma is not Chaysh Liyahura. We just learned the opposite. This non, as far as Tisha B'Av is concerned, Malkim Shanago Lasses Malachim B'Tisha B'Av, in a place where the minhag was to work on Tisha B'Av, where people would work on Tisha B'Av, Oisim, then you're allowed. Malkim Shenago Shaloi Lasos, in a place where the minhag was not to work on Tisha B'Av, Ein Oisim, then you're not allowed to work on Tisha B'Av. Working on Tisha B'Av, a person would be Masich Daita Min HaVelos. He would now be preoccupied with his work, he wouldn't be thinking about the Veils of Yerushalayim. So it's totally on the minhag. B'chol Malkim Talmidei Chachamim B'Teilim. In any event, in every place, even where people, the average person, the general populace does work, but a Talmid Chacham does not work. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer Lo'olam Yasa Kol Adam Es Asmak Talmid Chacham. If an average person wants to treat himself like a Talmid Chacham and not work on Tisha B'Av, he's entitled to. Kasha the Rabbanan, Kasha the Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel seems to be a seer. Over here, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says the average person cannot recite Krishma. The Chosen cannot recite Krishma. It looks like Yehura. And the Gabbai Tisha B'Av, he says the average person, if he wants to work, if he wants to treat himself rather like a Talmid Chacham and not work, he's allowed to. And we're not concerned that it looks like Gaiva. Now the Rabbanan say, as far as Krishma, a person, a Chosen, average person, if he wants to recite the Krishma, he can. We're not concerned for Gaiva. And over there, the Gabbai Tisha B'Av, it says that Davke a Talmid Chacham are b'teilim, but an average person cannot conduct himself like a Talmid Chacham. So Kasha the Rav Shimon Gamliel, so it's a Kasha the Rabbanan, Kasha the Rav Shimon Gamliel, Rav Shimon Gamliel. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Muchlaf a shita. You have to reverse the shitas. You have to reverse it in order to be consistent with what we have over here. You have to reverse the shitas over there. You do not have to reverse the sheet. The Rabbanan like Kasha. It's not a Kasha. The Rabbanan Krishma by Krishma came in the Kulam Kakar. The general populace is reciting Krishma that night. Now he's a Chasam. So even though he's a Chasam, but if he wants to say Krishma, he's not doing something out of the ordinary. He's not doing something that the average person is not doing. So they hold that's not considered gaiva, because the average person is saying Krishna. True, an average chosin is not, but the average populace is. So if he recites Krishna, it's not considered, it's not viewed as gaiva. But in a place where the general populace works on Tisha B'Av, now if he's not working on Tisha B'Av, he's doing something out of the ordinary. And if he doesn't do it, that looks like gaiva. Therefore the Rabbanan say, here by Krishna he could recite it, the Chosin could, but there by Tisha B'Av he can't. It's consistent with what they say. The Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel like kasha, it's also not a kasha, because Hasam bekavanat milsa. Because by Krishma, the ability to say Krishma is if you will have proper kavana. The entitlement to say Krishma, rather, is the person will have the proper kavana. An average person, our average person who's a chosin, the anansari is that he will not, because he's tired and is preoccupied with this mitzvah, and he's worried about it, he will not be able to have the proper kavana that he needs for Krishma. Therefore he says, no, like kol adam. Only a person who is known, who's muchzak to be on a high madrega, but an average chosin cannot say Krishna. And if he does, it looks like gaiva, looks like he's haughty. He says, oh, that he could have the proper kavana under those circumstances. That looks like gaiva. By Tisha B'Av, if a person sees that this average person is not doing work, and that even though the general populace is working, but if he doesn't do work, he says, we're not concerned over there that it looks like gaiva, because one who sees it will say, Malachu de'en. They'll say, he's just unemployed, he doesn't have any work, that's why he's not going to work, not because he considers himself to be a Talmud Chacham. Go look, see how many people are unemployed in the shuk. There's many people who aren't working. So therefore, he's not concerned over there that it will look like gaiva. Perek Shlishi, the third parak. So we were discussing before about the concept, the principle of Isaac the mitzvah, pater min a mitzvah, and a person's Isaac mitzvah, therefore he's pater from Krishma, misha mesa mutalefonov, if he has his mate to bury him. So now he has this mitzvah of his maze, pater mi Krishma, uminatfila mikol mitzvahs hamuras b'Torah. He is pater on all of these mitzvahs, on the Moras B'Torah, because he has the mitzvah of the mace, and he, just like by a chosan, we said he's torrid with the mitzvah. Here he's torrid mitzvah, even if he's not actively being Isaac in it at the moment, but he's torrid in the mitzvah. So he's Isaac with this mitzvah, it's mutal upon him. Different reasons. The Rishalmi says because it's not covered for him, he has to be Isaac with the mace, he has to be preoccupied with the mace, but he's potter. So Isis points out, we had earlier, it says, Krishma, Tfil, Chun, Kol Mitzvah Samuras. Why does it mention Krishma separately? It is part of Kol Mitzvah Samuras B'Torah. Isis says because over here it has a limited time. If he doesn't do it now, the time might pass, he might not be able to do it later. So you might think, where there's a Zman and it has a limited time, you might think that he should do it. No, Krishma, all mitzvahs, and even Krishma, which has a limited time, he's still potter. Noisayim mita, the ones who are carrying the mita, v'chalufein, and the ones who were substituting, v'chalufei chalufein, they used to rotate and take turns. Es shalifnei mita, v'shalachar mita, those who are in front of the mita, who are Isaac when it, and they're now Isaac when it, and now with carrying the mita. So when it comes to their turn, they will be carrying the mita. So Esra mita veshel achra mita, who already took their turn. Esra lifnei mita tzarech behem paturim. If they are needed to carry the mita, they're paturim. Veshel achra mita, since they already have carried, tzarech behem chayavim. So tzarech behem, they're chayavim. When it's needed, then they are tzarech behem chayavim, because they already had taken their turn. So we say that they're chayav in the mitzvahs. They are not potter from the mitzvahs. But in both cases, they're potter from the tefillah. This is only as far as Krishma is concerned. This is only as far as Krishmas, but by Tefillah, so one of the reasons is by Tefillah, which is the Rabbana. Krishmas are the Raisas. A Krishma, they're part. But the Ve'elu, so Krishma, we say, there makes a chilak, that it's lifnei amita or la'achar amita. But as far as Tefillah, which is the Rabbanan, Ve'elu p'turim min Tefillah, they're part in any event, even if shalachar amita, they're part from the Tefillah, because it's not the Raisa, so they're part in any event. Kavra Sameh is after the Kfura, V'chazru, and now they're returning. Im yecholim lahascha v'ligmar achli yilishura, if they can complete the recital until they come to the Rishura, where they have to be menachem. They came to have the rows to be menachem the oval. If they can start and complete the recital prior to the Shura, yaschilu. V'im lav lo yaschilu. But otherwise, if they can't complete it, they shouldn't start. Ha'imdim b'shura pnimim, the ones who are in the inner row, so they have to be menachem the aval or paturim. And the ones who are in the outer row, they're chayavim.